Episode 307. At the hands of Xenos Galvis, we've been dealt a humiliating defeat. At least his words, not ours, but accurate words. And I figure Komori decides she's gonna need to pick up a new class to go toe-to-toe with Xenos next time. Despite our fancy Black Mage staff being super powerful, or so we pretend, maybe there are just some situations where we need to actually get in and do some melee DPS. I think gameplay-wise that sort of makes sense. I mean, just based on our performance in the little fight against Xenos. We didn't die or anything, but we got hit by a few of his AoE attacks, and I guess we might have been able to avoid them if we weren't just like standing back casting. Maybe Komori thinks that fireballs and long cast time is like good against the huge primals and everything. Dragons and everything that she's mainly fought up until now. But maybe with a person that's more mobile or something, she'll want to pick up a melee class or something like that. At least that's my excuse for why she's gonna pick up a new class right about now. Every time I do a new expansion, I want to pick up one new class, and I was thinking ever since I was beginning Stormblood, this would be a good point in the story too, to pick up a new class, since that just kind of makes sense, right? The Warrior of Light loses a battle and decides to get stronger. And it can be our little training arc as we go to Doma, I guess, for our next fight with Xenos. But we'll segue into that shortly. I'm pretty sure there'll be a good point in the story to do that. Starting soon. You said your piece, yes? Now would you please return to bed? You'll never recover if you carry on like this. Oh yeah, Minago. Kind of busted in on the scene last episode. She should probably get back to bed. He caused the pain. It seemed like a good idea at the time. It was very dramatic. I can't deny a part of me wants to stay and fight, but I know I'd be more use to you and the others. That which is beyond one alone may yet be within the reach of many, of the many. And Conrad about to give up here. We've got a long road ahead of us, but it all begins with the first step. We'll stay in the reach and rebuild. We'll reinforce our defenses, and if they come again, we'll be ready. How in Limnane's name did they find the reach? Yeah, I still don't actually know that. I guess they'll tell us later, but I don't remember. I thought their glamours were impenetrable. I wish you well on your journey, my friend. Let us pray that when we meet again, our fortunes will be much changed. Why are there two different things here? If there is truth in the rumors, this is not the first time Xenos has spared his foes. They say he abides by an unusual code, and takes pleasure in the fight. Whatever his reasons, we must use this time to our advantage. Well, I guess this is still relevant to the quest. We await good tidings from the Far East, my friend. In the meantime, the Alliance will continue to aid the Resistance and help it to rebuild. I've called upon Stillglade Fane to send every available conjurer, no matter how inexperienced, to help with the wounded. I pray it will be enough. Okay. That's all the peanut gallery talk to. I was considering doing this blue quest and maybe even the blue quest over that spawned over on this side of the world. But I think we'll just do that when we get back to it, since it feels like it'd be a bad point in the story to do it right now. And there'll be like more blue quests when we reach this side. And as for this one, I was actually looking into it. This is actually pretty important. It's actually an entire quest chain. Even though this gives us the Aether Current, there's more to this quest that we'll want to do later. And I'd rather dedicate like an entire good episode to it, maybe even two. So we're going on with this. Pirates. Where men go as one, there is life. And where there is life, there is cause to hope. Our grandfather believed that, and so do I. But before we can forge ties with our friends in the Far East, we must first find a way to reach them. Ortard is not exactly over the river and through the woods. I am one step ahead of you, dear sister, or rather Tataru is. But before we discuss that, there is another issue I wish to address. Much as I would like it if we could all make this journey together, Someone will need to remain to serve as liaison to the Alliance and the Resistance during this critical period. Moreover, as Ishtola cannot be left unattended, then I should obviously remain. Very well. Issue addressed. You know, Alphinaud, it would have been quicker to just ask, and markedly less patronizing. You just had to explain this all. I mean, we need a good reason to boot you out of the story. You'll get your turn, though. Yes, I suppose, ahem. Would you be willing to look after Ishtola and provide support to Arnvold and the others? Yes, Alphinaud, I would. You see, that wasn't so hard, was it? Enjoy your trip, and don't you dare return with a gift. Wait, with a gift? You mean, no. You should say don't you dare return without a gift. We'll shower you in lots and lots of gifts, Colonel. Oh, I would not dream of it. Right then, sister, Gomoy, niece, gather your things. We are for Limsa Lominsa. Yep, all the same thing. Okay, then off to Limsa. So for melee DPS, there's like a lot of different choices for me. I did Dragoon on my main character, so I guess there were like 5 other classes or something I could choose from. And I was strongly considering, after we did the Palace of the Dead and got the Necromancer title, maybe it would have made sense to do the whole Reaper thing. It maybe fits Komoy, kind of. It fits the whole Necromancer thing, and also, it would just be kind of funny to do that against Xenos at this point in the story, for reasons. I don't think I want to do that, just because I'm more interested in other classes, and I guess my own wants supersede Komoy's most fitting class choice, I guess. I don't know. Where are we meeting? Oh, we're in the upper decks then. Over there, okay. We'll continue with this quest until we reach a stopping point. We're in the right area for the class I want to pick up. Reaper. It might be fun to play as Reaper. I guess I don't fully know how both of these classes play out since, well, of course I've never played as either of them, so maybe Reaper could be more fun than the one I'm thinking of, but ever since a long time ago, it's always stuck in my mind. It might be fun to play as. Bird-to-bird communication. No, here we are. I spoke with Uriandra and Thancred along the way. To say they were surprised by our stratagem would be something of an understatement, but they did not dispute its logic. Pilgrim was always Ishtola's domain. I haven't spent much time here, to be honest. Ah, and here comes the fog, or the cloudy weather. The Taru should be here any moment with our ship's captain. So we're going by sea after all. Is Marlowe lending us our pick of the Crimson Fleet? Not exactly. You are right, inasmuch as we will be traveling by sea. Regrettably, it is simply not feasible for an airship to travel such a distance, without impossibly large fuel reserves, to say nothing of the inevitability of running afoul of the Empire's aerial defenses. But then, it is equally infeasible to sail an Eorzean Alliance vessel halfway around the world without the Empire taking notice. Which leaves us with only one other option. Ah, speak of the devil. Sorry to keep you waiting. May I present to you Captain Carvalane of the Kraken's Arms. Okay, so Carvalane. We've had some dealings with him. 3 different types of dealings. 1, we've dealt with him during random dungeons from A Realm Reborn, like Hullbreaker Island, hard mode or something. 2, he's appeared in events here and there, just randomly, usually with the other pirate. They have like a thing going on. And 3, we dealt with him during the Ishgardian Restoration stuff, where he played like a major role, and it's kind of weird that we're having this after that stuff. Because the Ishgardian Restoration is supposed to be after this, but you can do it before you reach this point in the story, so it doesn't really matter, but we kind of know his backstory. But I guess this would have been the first time he played a major role, and then his backstory gets expanded upon during the Ishgardian Restoration. We're just kind of doing it backwards. Anyway. The Kraken's arms? Don't tell me you made a deal with pirates. Greetings and salutations, scions. I take it from your comrade's tone that you no longer wish to proceed with our proposed arrangement. Not at all, Captain. Pray forgive my sister her outburst. She has ever been one to speak her mind. I, on the other hand, am the very soul of discretion, as many well-respected personages would attest, from the offices of the Admiral to the high houses of Ishgard. Yeah, the high houses of Ishgard. But where was I? Oh yes, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn do indeed still wish to employ your services. However, it is important that you are aware of certain extenuating circumstances. Politics, 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 and war. And intent on securing passage to the Far East, you came to us, knowing us to be the proud purveyors of said region's finest spices, which you steal from God-fearing merchants out on the high seas. Whatever privateering the Kraken's arms may or may not engage in is strictly within the limits of the law, as set forth by our indefatigable keeper of the peace. More to the point, we are pragmatists. I see considerable risk in aiding your cause, and negligible profit. Well, I for one think the captain has a point. The five seas can be extremely treacherous, and many a poor unfortunate soul has come to grief out there on the waves. Why, when we were in Ishgard, I heard the tragic tale of how the heir to House Durandare, vanished at sea. Even now, nearly 20 years later, the poor count remains convinced that his son still lives, and would pay a sultan's ransom for news of his whereabouts. Yeah, old Charlie, over in the Ishgardian Restoration. Again, we're getting this backwards, but this would have been the first time you got the implication that this guy has a relation to the high houses of Durandare. Truly a tragedy for the ages, and a testament to the misfortunes that may befall us, should we act without due consideration. But so long as you are prepared to abide the capricious whims of fate, I'm willing to oblige you this once. That said, in light of the recent rebellion, I trust you understand that I cannot deliver you to Doma itself. I can take you only as far as Kugane, in Hingashi. We will require time to procure sufficient provisions and make ready for departure. I humbly suggest you do the same. Did you catch all that, Lise? I'm not sure what just happened. I guess not. I could have sworn he was about to turn us away, but then he changed his mind. Blackmail, is it? This is a dangerous game a dangerous game the two of them are playing. What guarantee do we have that Carveline won't just throw us overboard? I mean, we know his dad pretty well. The poor little boy had only seen 14 summers when he left Ishgard. Can you imagine what it must have felt like to finally be free to explore the world, unbeholden to all the stuffy traditions of the Holy See? Such a shame that he never returned home. Without him, the Count de Durandare must look elsewhere for a successor. And the good Lord Janequinard is one step closer to being the next in line. We would know Janequinard a bit better, at least I think I'm remembering this name right. We'd know him a bit better if we did the whole astrologian thing. I kind of forgot that he was Durandare. Knew that he was some part of the High Houses, but I didn't remember that it was Durandare. Suddenly, all those hours Tataru passed cavorting and capering at the Forgotten Night seem rather better spent, do they not? That said, I had intended to press the point more obliquely, and there was something disconcerting about the pleasure Tataru took in making Captain Carveline squirm. Okay. And we could take on the next quest, but we're going to pretend now that Carverlane is going to need that time that he mentioned to make the preparations. Maybe it's going to take like a day or a few days or something like that. So what we're going to do is go over here and pretend to have a flashback. Maybe like, not here. This table? Yeah, no one sits at this table. We're going to sit right here and pretend to have a flashback to Komori's days as a street urchin. We're just gonna pretend, okay? And we're back in pretend flashback mode. And we're pretending to flashback to before the beginning of the game, before A Realm Reborn. And Komori's back in her attire that she was wearing at the start of that. Basically, whenever I pick up a new class as Komori, I just sort of like to pretend how that might fit in with, I don't know, her aesthetic. I don't really do a whole lot of RP or backstory or whatever. Whenever I pick up a new class, it's fun to imagine what could maybe fit. And in this case, I'm imagining that maybe before the start of the game, when we ride in on carriage to Ul'dah, maybe Komori was a street urchin, living in Lim-Sulaminsa, just kinda slumming it out, picking people's pockets and whatnot, as a rogue. Or something like that. I don't really have a clean backstory for Komori. Every time I try to do this, it ends up being a bit of a mess, I guess. I insert something new here and there and never really put things together too well. But I guess I'll try to at least lay it out as cleanly as I can for myself. We're not really allowed in here in flashback mode, this is like the Storm HQ. But just for the sake of argument, or whatever. So every now and again I came up with some kind of little tidbit of backstory just for fun with Komori. And part of that was that this little group that I put together, the Adventurer Squadron, what I call Komori's Crimson Blaze, meant to rival Alphinode's Crystal Braves, that she put this together based on, or comprising of, several of her street urchin friends that she used to run around Lim-Sulaminsa with, picking pockets. Most of these guys were probably, I guess, like her. Except for Raiding Ox, maybe. And maybe Komomo. She's too fancy for it. The street urchin life. If I try to lay everything out from one end to the other, like from beginning to end, I guess we'll say that Komori's parents were living in Ul'dah, probably back in Pearl Lane or whatever that place is called. That place that I always walked by and pretended was Komori's old home. And as a kid she would wander around just kind of bullying other kids in the back alleys of Ul'dah. What's this one place called? Yeah, it is called Pearl Lane. I did remember it right. Maybe she would also participate in the Blood Sands. I don't know if kids really participated in that whole gladiator Blood Sands stuff, but maybe Ul'dah has some shady back alley stuff where they have some kids wave some daggers at each other. And maybe she wasn't very good at it, but she wanted to feel powerful, feel like she could bully the other kids and feel good about herself. Then we'll pretend that the calamity happened and for whatever reason she had to leave home. I don't know. It's a very loose backstory. A lot of things happened during the calamity. The entire realm was in chaos, so maybe she wound up over here in Lim-Sulaminsa with no parents and just running around with a bunch of other tiny Lalafell picking pockets or whatever. And that's what we're flashing back to right now. Her life as a rogue. And then I guess after that, at the beginning of A Realm Reborn, she ends up going back to Ul'dah eventually. And then picks up the staff when she realizes that's much, much more preferable than little knives or whatever. I guess I started the game as a gladiator, so that's sort of like a rogue with only one sword. Maybe she had to like sell her daggers so that she could make passage to Ul'dah or something like that. It's a very loose backstory, so where do I actually pick up this? There's no Thieves Guild. I think it's like over by the docks or something. Yeah, this thing. I've always been interested in picking up the rogue class even on my main character, just because they seem like they have a lot of interesting things going on. And I guess Reaper does too, but For a long time I've wanted to do this, so I'm gonna do it now. Let's go, Mori. Here in the past, our pretend flashback. Hopefully no one recognizes me as the Warrior of Light. There's not behind these convent doors for a worldly type like you, Mrs. Worldly. We're a street urchin. We're the dutiful sisters of the Edelweiss. All pure and saintly like. Now bugger off. Hang about. Ain't you that lass that goes by the name of Komoy? Okay, maybe he's heard of us picking pockets. But he's probably gonna recognize us as the Warrior of Light, which is my greatest fear for this. Pretend flashback. I knew it. Something about Millen primals leaves its mark on a person. It does. Okay. We're just gonna pretend he doesn't say that. We're gonna pretend that he's letting us in because he wants us to be better at picking pockets. Wants to train us up as a rogue or something. That whole kind of story. Anyway, you being who you are, you must have an inkling as to what goes on here, eh? Admiral sent you to meet with one of my associates after the business with Leviathan, if you recall. Interesting. Actually, this dialogue would have been different if you picked up the rogue class as soon as you could have done it. When you reached like level 15 and did a certain amount of the main story. But I guess this is different because we got to patch 2.1 or 2.2 or I think it must have been 2.3 or whenever we fought Leviathan. Because that's when they probably would have introduced the rogue class. So we would have gotten a whole different spiel if we did it back then, but we'll just pretend that the spiel that we're getting is him recruiting us to the Rogues Guild. As a street urchin. That's right, lass. You stand at the entrance to the Rogues Guild. Ghost would be a poor sort of underground organization if you put a bleeding sign up on the front door. Anyway, from what Lady Yugiri told me, you're pretty handy in a scrap. We also don't know Lady Yugiri in the flashback. This is all kind of going down the drain immediately, this whole flashback idea. As if it didn't already, like from the very beginning. But okay. She's off seen to some private business right now, but I reckon we might have some use for a prime lass like you. I guess if we were in the present time, her private business would be liberating her homeland, but that's not right now. If you have an interest in joining us, tip us your daddles. What? Tip us your daddles? Okay. Tip us your daddles and we'll put a hilt in each one, just like the gods intended. Oh, your hands? They'll put a hilt in each hand. Is that what daddles means? Okay. So what do you say? Fancy learning a new trade? Yeah. Good to see you're keen. But I should probably warn you on a few points before you dive in. Where most guilds take pride in turning their members into the best bloody candlestick makers they can be, we only care about getting the job done. And the job being pretty. You become one of us, and you'll soon be neck deep in scum and knife fights. So if you're looking to scamper across rooftops and bilk dandies... What? I don't know this speech. Across rooftops, and bilk dandies of their blunt. Oh, I guess steal their stuff? Whatever. You'd best take up with a different crew. Think on that, and come back if you're still keen. No wait, hang on, what? Isn't that exactly what we're doing? It sounds like he's saying we won't be scampering across rooftops and stealing people's stuff. Is that not what the Rogues Guild does? Well, whatever. We can run across rooftops if we want. I didn't scare you off then. Ben? Is that French? Bene? I really have no idea how this guy is speaking to me. They told me he was a meddlesome lass, and so it's proved. Yeah, the most meddlesome street urchin there is. You'll need every ounce of that metal soon enough. Now step inside, and have a paddle with Jack. He's our upright man, the master of the guild. We may now freely enter the Rogues Guild. Speak with Lone Ward whenever you wish to gain admittance to the guild's headquarters. This'll be fun. I've never actually been inside, or like seen the inside. You looking to head inside? Of course, it's just going to be this one room, but still. What's all this then? just like a storeroom. Looking to join us in the shadows, are you? Ben Luck to you then. Ben Luck. I feel like that's the only time I've heard them use the word Ben in this game, and it's like been twice in a row already. Must be a rogue thing. I want to learn to flip knives like that. Can we possibly get like an emote like that? Like a lot of times they give you NPC emotes that you never get as a main character through things like the Ashgardian Restoration or whatever, but it'd be really fun if they gave you this knife flipping emote. Or this other knife emote that she has, I don't know. But we're here to learn other things, I guess. I am the one they call Jack. Though I'm surprised you've heard of me. Perhaps you'd be good enough to tell me your name, along with that, with that of the kindly cove has told you mine. Your doorman told us. Ah, the famous Komoy. Famous as in famous for pickpocketing. We're pretending still. Oh, Lonnie left patch that you in, did he? He can't throw a blade for shite. But that one I don't miss when all comes... Okay. It's gonna be really hard to talk all, roguey. I guess it's like pirate adjacent. But that one I don't miss not. When it comes to sizing up a dimber mort for the Stalin. Damn. That's like 5 different words that I don't understand here. Well, I guess more like 3. Dimber, mort, and Stalin. Just one thing. You ain't a pirate, are you? Well then, it's time you was stalled to the rogue. Pull on your best beater cases. Maybe I'll just have to like read each sentence to myself before even attempting to pronounce it. Pull on your best beater cases and I'll sway you in myself when you're ready. I could fill your watchholes with the storied history of our guild, but that's just words and wind. The most important thing, the only thing we care about, is getting the job done. Now most folk, and I'm assuming you're among them, know that not long after Limsa's founding, the city was overrun by a motley collection of pirates and thieves. But as wild as that lot were, it soon became clear that they'd all end up killing each other if they didn't lay down a few rules, an unspoken code of conduct, as it were. It's actually fitting we're getting this. I didn't think the rogues had anything to do with the pirates. I mean, I thought they aesthetically looked like pirates, sort of. Before you... Gotta take a drink of water here. Anyway, I did think that the rogues look aesthetically similar to the pirates before you advanced to ninja, but I had no idea that they would be related to the whole pirate plotline in Limsa. I mean, I guess if they're here in Limsa then, you would assume they have something to do with pirates, but it's good that we're getting this now, so soon after this whole thing with Carvalane. And we're gonna deal with the pirates a little bit later too. So, good timing. 1. You don't bite the purses of your fellow Laminsons. Okay, that's good. That's good that they're telling us this. 2. You don't rook a crew out of their spoils. And 3. You don't trade culls like they with chattel. I don't know what that means. I'll admit, the finer points of the code are might murky, but most agree on those 3 at least. I'm not trying to understand point 3 there. I'll take another drink. Anyway, I'm not sure I understand point 3 there, but I do understand point 1, so we can maybe pretend that the whole reason that she was recruited, quote-unquote, into the Thieves Guild was because she was making a mess of things, picking the pockets of, quote-unquote, her fellow Laminsons. So they thought they'd take in this kid and set her right. Tell her to pick the purses of someone else, and maybe train her while doing it. Now you might think, or you might be thinking, none of that amounts to a sack of dillberries. Now the Admiral's outlawed piracy. But in the back alleys and black markets, where Merlweb's grip ain't so tight, the code's still alive and well. And just as the law is enforced by the Yellow Jackets, The code is regulated by us rogues. We go where the shadows are darkest, and hand out justice to them as we break the code. Some rum-soaked, or not as we break the code, to them as break the code, got it. Some rum-soaked cove steals goods from the wrong coal, and we steal them back. That's the job, my natty lass. Of course, we don't hop the twig when blade work's called for neither. You'll see there's more to our dagger play than just sticking coals with the pointy end. We'll weaken a mark with poison, fade him away, or fade away in striking the dog mints. Whatever it takes to get the work done. Well, Komoy, what do you say to that? Got the guts to do a rogue's job? Yeah, whatever it takes to do the job done, I guess. Maybe that's why Komoy's having this pretend flashback right now, because she wants to kill Xenos, no matter what it takes, to get the job done. Alright then, first off, we'll have to get your kit sorted out. A rogue needs to be light on her do-beaters to stay on a mark's trail. The job might have you fighting across a deck or weaving through a mob, and the last thing you want is a bleeding great battle axe that hooks itself on every rope and post. That's why we stick to daggers, to let you slip through the streets just as easy as, say, slip through a rook's ribs. Here, take these stabbers and let's see how they look on you. Just don't get so excited with your new toys that you forget to dress for the role. You'd be surprised at how many courts come back to me in their bloody small clothes. Right. A small joke how, whenever you equip a new weapon for a new job, none of your gear actually fits that weapon, so you're reduced to wearing nothing by the game's design. I've already prepared in advance so that we don't experience that embarrassment. At least I'm pretty sure I have. We'll find out. There, didn't go naked instantly. But also, we brought our own daggers. Let's see. I guess it'd be over here. Where'd I put it? Yeah, right there. Oh no, wait. That glamour is... what level? That's level 50. Okay, we didn't bring our own daggers. We left our daggers at home. I was going to say these were the daggers that maybe she had from Ul'dah, because these look like hold-on daggers, I guess. These conjures, maybe. At least they look like they would be from there. Thought it'd be fun to run around with those instead, but I guess for now we're using loner daggers. We'll work our way up to the daggers from home later. Oh no, wait. We gotta do this. Reassign. As a rogue, update. And I think that's good, yeah? Just a quick check for the portrait. Okay, I think we're good. Alright, so we got a bunch of things now, like a bunch of actions that I have no idea how they work. But just the rogue ones, so we don't have to worry about the ninja stuff yet. And also some trait stuff. Reduces damage taken while falling. Seems useless, but kind of funny. Fleet and foot. Increases movement speed. That's kind of the big one. The one thing that's weird about this class, well, there's like a lot of weird things about this class. But one of them is that this class is just faster than the other ones. They like get a free peloton without the peloton. And I think peloton actually makes them faster too. But they just have the same sprint speed when you activate sprint, pretty much. Looks like we got a basic 3-hit combo with positionals. That's the main thing about these physical DPS classes, the melee ones. They're like the only ones with positionals. I don't think tanks have positionals. And ranged casters and other ranged DPS non-casters don't have positionals, and of course healers aren't going to have positionals, so yeah. Basically just the melee DPS. We got a throwing dagger, standard throwing or ranged attack for melee users. And this thing seems to be just an off global cooldown attack. And we got Shade Shift. Create shadows that nullify damage up to 20% of maximum HP. Okay, so we got like a barrier. And another weird thing for the rogue/ninja class, you can actually activate a stealth mode that isn't on any other class, other than the crafting, or rather just the gathering classes that let them hide from monsters while gathering. This can't be used in combat, so it's like not used in any high-end stuff, but it's just a funny thing to have for a ninja, I guess, / rogue. And similar to that, we've got Mug. Another funny thing that's useless. Well, useless for the thing that it should be. This should be used for getting more money, or getting more items from the target by defeating them with Mug, or using Mug before they get defeated. But the only thing that it would be good for, like in actual endgame stuff, is increasing the amount of damage they take by 5%. And then Trick Attack, which I guess combos with Hide. Yeah, it seems like this is like the only thing that combos with Hide. At least of the things we have now. I only really looked into some of the stuff that Ninja had, like the rogue stuff that you get, just so that I knew what I was doing for this episode, but there isn't really a whole lot to it, I guess. Extra damage from a target's rear, and increases damage, or you can only use it while hidden. Okay. Managed to strap those daggers on without cutting yourself? Well, you're off to a good start, I'd say. Next, you'll want to get a feel for the weight and speed of your new weapons. I reckon those beaten cheats in the fields outside Limsa should serve for your first lesson. Test your blades on a few of them lambs. Then slice up some rats, some hugels for good measure. Sounds like serial killer behavior, so bread and butter for Komoy. Mind that you mill them beasties one at a time, though, lass. I know you served far worse in the past, but you know dimber damber, with some stabbers just yet. Fun language. And no, we haven't served up better in the past, or whatever he said. We're in the flashback right now. We haven't served up anything yet. We're still starting out. No one's respecting the flashback but me. Can't believe this. Okay, I guess the fastest way out is through the Ethernet. Seems to be a bit of a frame rate thing going on. Guess it's the angle we're looking at here. I guess the whole flashback idea was not a great idea in the end, but it's fun to pretend, you know? That's what games with customizable characters are for in the first place, right? For you to pretend. Okay, we got Hide, actually. That was not part of the combo. Are we hidden? Oh, that's Shadow Shift, actually. That's our barrier. We've also got a hunting log, which maybe I should pay attention to if I want to like level up quickly for taking on the next quest. Not these guys. Is there any other way to like increase our experience other than like the usual food? Oh wait, you can't be here. This is the flashback, short stack. We didn't have you back then. Let's see. Dismissed. Dismissed into the future. We'll see you back in the present. There's our combo. He said not to take on more than one, but we can handle it. That's not our positional, right? Yeah, only the last one is a positional. And the last thing was lambs. Seems kind of brutal. They don't exactly look like they can fight back. This is what you get for getting lost. We're gonna have to work on our heart bar later. Actually, we can do one thing right now, or two things. This is basically the same thing as, what was it? Yeah, that. We had, on that same button there, Mana Ward, which is a barrier for the Black Mage, so it'll be easy to remember if I have the barrier on the same button right there. I don't think Dragoon gets a barrier like that. Interesting. Again, I've only ever played one melee DPS, so everything that's going to be even slightly different is going to be interesting to me. And we are high enough level to take on the next quest, so we'll head right into it, but we might reach a point where we'll actually have to do some grinding or something, just to reach the level we need for the next quest. The good thing is that the rogue quest ends at level 30, so we don't have to worry about it for too long. But of course I'm gonna have to get this character, this class, this job, up to level 60 basically if I want to continue doing the Stormblood stuff with it. So I'm gonna have to do some grinding for that. But I think I can do that off screen. Maybe with the Palace of the Dead again. Get these out of here. I turned on the auto run. Alright, we killed a bunch of defenseless animals, and you know what? We enjoyed it. Done with your milling, are you? You can never have enough blade practice, lass. In fact, I'll even add a list of marks for your hunting log. Pit yourself against a lot, and you'll soon learn some new steps for your dance with the daggers. You must think yourself as a dancer, not a bleeding butcher. No, dancer is a different class. Another one we can also pick up over here in Limsa, but I play that on my main character, so probably not as Komoy. You only need so much force to ram a short blade into the hilt. Precision and speed, that's how you get the most out of your stabbers. Bulky armor will only have you plodding about like an ungainly aurochs. So make sure you're wearing gear that'll let you move freely as well. Yeah, as long as we're doing this flashback, don't worry. We'll be wearing exactly what we wore at the beginning of the game. Alright, get your blade work up to scratch, Komoy, and I might just have a job for you. Don't worry, we're ready. Level 5. Oh there, Komoy. I must say you're looking comfortable enough with those stabbers of yours. I reckon you're good and ready for your first assignment. Ordinarily, I'd stow me words and let you get on with your work, but seeing as we only just dragged you into the shadows, there might be a couple of things which I ain't familiar with. Let's build on what you likely do now, and that's the fact that the Admiral, God bless her soul, or God's bless her soul, has outlawed piracy in Limsa. So, why do you think there's still so many sodden pirates in this town? I'll tell you why. It's because there's still one way from to loot and pillage without incurring the wrath of the law. All you need to do is apply to serve the Thalassacracy as a certified privateer, which is, I guess, actually what Carveline was telling us he was doing. It's actually completely great timing that we're getting this whole thing on the pirate politics of Limsa when we're doing this stuff with Carveline. Didn't really plan on it, but it was a better segue than I thought. Anyway, a captain with a privateer's license is free to terrorize the seas till the outgoats come home, so long as he only targets vessels what belong to the Guardian Empire. I did actually know this from later parts in the story, because believe it or not, the pirate politics of Limsa still play a part even several expansions into the future, and it's kind of like a whole thing where they're privateering the Guardians and everything. So I guess it's actually just a lore piece that's been seeded in ever since these early stages of the game. At least all the way back to when they added in the Rogues Guild, or probably even further back, I guess. Of course, considering how bloody vast the Empire is, that's plenty of looting to go around. Crews fill their holds with Imperial plunder, then sail back here to Limsa to offload the spoils. And that's where this particular case went sour. See, this one crew got their fambles on a Magitech device. This guy uses like 7 different words for hands, like dambles and dimbles and fambles. I have no idea where he's getting these from. It's like he's making them up. A firing mechanism, to be precise. Boys worked out of their home by some heavy-handed coves. If you'll recall, that don't sit well with the code. If you're bold enough to look a pirate out at his due, then you'd best be prepared for a visit from the rogues. Ah, and speaking of visiting rogues, Underfoot, overhear that. I want the pair of you working together on this. Pass sentence on them code-defined rogues, and bite back that Magitech part. Is this character going to be like a rival for us? Maybe we can pretend that he's like another street urchin they took in. I mean, he's going to have his own backstory, obviously, but it's just the impression that I'm getting seeing these two next to each other. Eh? What's the last need me for? You're in charge of new recruits, ain't ya? It's Komoi's first assignment. You have to go along and give her the benefit of your wisdom. Yeah, he's our senpai street urchin, I guess. Since when was I in charge of new... Oh, bugger it. So, I guess we're to be partners for the now. The name's Harimu Harimu, but most of me fellows call me Underfoot. Okay, this guy doesn't exactly strike me as a, well, as a rival type. He seems more like a, and I guess with the name Underfoot, more of like a bungling, loser type, which is fine. He might seem a touch reluctant, but Harimu's one of our best. You just do as he says, and you'll get the job done, okay? Not a loser. Sorry I gave you that first impression. He's one of the best, but he's reluctant, that's all. Alright, looking for some words of wisdom, are you? What do you do here? Eh? What do I do here? I'm Captain Jack. I'm the bleeding guildmaster. I suppose I don't much look the part, but that's more to me advantage in our line of work. Looks aside, you'll not find a stauncher advocate of the code in this room. There was a rogue of similar conviction which saved me from drowning in the sludge of the underworld. He showed me a light in the darkments, and the guild's been me home ever since. And I guess he's extending the favor to us, a street urchin. Maybe we'll be the guildmaster one day. No, we won't. We know the future, we know the present. We become the warrior of light. Why fight with daggers? Why not a sword or an axe? Well, I may have explained this a time or two before, but short blades are simply the weapons what work best for scraps in the shadows. They're light enough to run with, easily concealed, and don't get caught on all the bloody guide ropes and shipping crates, what fair litter this city. Your smaller stabbers are also quick to coat with poison, and lend themselves well to a rogue's swift and fluent style of fighting. If you're interested in studying up more on your dance steps, then go have a prattle with old Bogart. But I warn you, he'll talk your bloody waddles off if you let him. Well, maybe we will. The name's Bogart. I might be the eldest rogue left standing, but I'm happy to leave the guildmaster into young Jack. Won't be giving you jobs or aught like that, but I can learn you a thing or two about twirling them stabbers. All in good time, though, Dove. All in good time. Okay, then not right now. Alright then, me young rogue. Seeing as this is your first official outing, I want to be sure your dance steps are up to the task. With them short blades, you need to get in good and close to your mark, aye? But we ain't bleeding swords and shining armor, and the leather kit we wear ain't much protection from a click to the gown. So if you don't fancy spitting blood and teeth, your best defense is simply not being there when your mark winds up to land. A nasty clout. A nasty hit, I guess. All this pirate rogue speak. Is it pirate speak? I don't know anymore. Sliding round to a flank usually does the trick, but there's some rum fun every rogue should master. The shade shift. Clear your mind and trust in your speed, and you can leave an axe-wielding brute or spell-flinging mage chasing your shadow while you bury your stabbers in his gut. Oh, I see. Right, now it's time you put this lesson into practice against some of those Aurelae out in Lower Zanosia. Hope you was paying attention last, because those tentacles can pack a wallop. Enjoy. So this thing... No wait, this thing. The shade shift. Cool spin. It's not like a barrier. I mean, it is a barrier for the game's purposes, I imagine. But the idea is that you're moving so fast that you're nullifying damage, or something like that. Fun. Okay, that's the same. I guess the fastest way would be to use the Ethernet again. This guy's running around without a shirt on. I guess that's also very roguelike. There we go. We wouldn't have had any mounts back before the start of the game. But just, let's just close our eyes and pretend that we're not mounting up here. Just for the interest of time. Probably the best way for me to level up without worrying about going into Duty Finder or whatever is going to be the Palace of the Dead, if I want to do it solo. Because then I don't really have to worry about gear or anything like that. Is that the quest done? That's not the quest done. Should I reach level 10 before I actually continue, though? I guess we'll find out. How many strikes has it been? How many strikes has it been against this being a flashback? If we consider the UI 1 strike and all the different things that these people have said as individual strikes against this being an actual flashback, then I think we're up to like 14 different strikes by now or something like that. But we're still pretending. I'll keep on pretending until the day I die. This is a flashback. Then what's your practice, then? A sting of them tentacle buggers will soon teach you to stay on your toes, eh? Yeah, I guess we didn't exactly use the shade shift on them. It was on cooldown. Ahem. Now we've got your blood rushing. I'd say it's time to get down to work. First things first. We need to track down them addled coves what worked that Magitech gadget. Might be as one of our rogues has heard something. The guild thrives on information, you see. And we've agents scattered far and wide with their glazes keen and their waddles to the ground. Man, I'm not gonna understand like every other sentence, I think. Let's pay us a visit to the tall one at the Drowning Wench. Ask her for a weak ale and see what that gets you. I'm not setting you up for a laugh, lass. Trust me. Even the sentences that I can read normally, I'm just gonna have trouble pronouncing just because I always have trouble with that. Everything sure looks the same as it did 5 years ago. Order yourself a weak ale. It all makes sense in a bit. We can do that too, you know. We got the emote from the Ishgardian Restoration. Yeah, we can look cool too. Welcome to the Drowning Wench. What's your pleasure, miss? A chilled ale. Certainly, miss. Take a seat, and I'll bring it straight to your... Change your mind? Okay, give us a strong ale. Okay, that's just the same. I like the little head shake from Perimu. And actually, if we're playing a street urchin, does it make sense that we're ordering an ale? I guess not. But maybe ordering a weak ale? Still doesn't really fit, does it? We're ordering it for Perimu. Never in all my days. We may serve some cheap grog in the wench, but that was watered down. If our usual ale is too bold for your taste, perhaps you'd like to order from the underground menu? There's quite a lot to offer, or a lot on offer for a customer with your roguish charms. Was there something in particular I could help you with? The trouble over that Magitech loot? It was not a subtle job. Is she a rogue? Maybe she's just affiliated. The gang in question is an unusual group of former pirates calling themselves the Dainty Demolishers. They seem to be enamored of court dandy mannerisms, and have a preference for seizing guardian machinery. They're also known for conspiring with goblins. Rumors say that the Demolishers visit a beastman camp in Middle Lenosia to fence their goods. And those goods generally take the form of Imperial technology. I imagine the goblins were rather pleased to take possession of a Mark, 43 anti-aircraft cannon firing mechanism. If you mean to steal the device back, then your trail leads to the goblin camp in Summerford. Summerford, eh? On your way, lass. Meet me across the river from the camp, and we'll plan our next move. What about that weak ale, though? Not going to serve it to a miner, which we're pretending to be? That twice-stolen Magitech device is likely at the goblin camp in Summerford. I'd be quick if I were you. It won't be long before those curious beastmen begin taking it to pieces. Okay. Would Komori have been a miner, actually, in this time frame of the flashback? The Calamity was 5 years ago, or 5 years before, the start of A Realm Reborn, when we rode in on the wagon to Old Ah. So I guess if we're thinking that her life as a street urchin was during that time frame, that 5-year time frame, then maybe she was a miner 5 years ago and at the start of the game. Old enough to, I guess, come back to Old Ah and take her house back or something. Or at least that was the plan. And then it was repossessed or something. I never did get a house as Komori. Not yet, anyway. Or even an apartment. Get your knocking down, Komori. I've been snilching the action across the way there. Snilching the action. It's gonna be every other sentence, I swear. Okay, he's saying he's been watching the action. Got it. No sign of the Demolishers, but I did see one of them gambler coves, stuffing the Guardian gadget into his backpack. I am getting the sense that coves means knave or something like that. I knew and how do I pronounce this? Litolwan? Little Wan? No. I knew Litolwan would steer us aright. This is your chance, lass. Clout that gambler, Gobby, and grapple that device. Clout that gambler, Gobby, and grapple that device. I've lost track of which Gob it was, and I've lost track of your sentence several times. Please talk like a normal person. But I'm thinking that it's that sod on the left. Just make sure you dance away from any bomb blasts. Twisting and dodging in the middle of a fireball might not save you from getting your eyebrows cinched off. Go on then. That gambler ain't gonna wait all day. Show old Underfoot how you've learned your lessons. They call him Underfoot like he gets underfoot. But maybe that's like a good thing for a rogue, like he gets underfoot of the enemies. I thought the idea was that he's called Underfoot because he gets underfoot of everyone else that's his teammate. Just doing this for the hunting log. Does this count towards the hunting log? Well, we got it anyway. I guess we're allowed to kill any goblin gambler. Plenty of that. Yeah, the way you described it, it could have been like any one of them, so... A non-specific goblin gambler was the right one. We just happened to guess correctly, I guess. That's the way, lass. There was naught for me to do but sit on me daddles and watch. Okay. Is that like the 7th word for hand now? Sit on his hands, I think. Daddles. So we've got the good scent. Alright, this is a device. And no mistaking it. Let's get it back to the guild, eh? We still owe them Demolisher bastards $1 million, but they'll keep for the now. Here, you should be the one to deliver the prize to Jack. It was your hand which snatched it out of the goblin's paws, after all. Thank you, Senpai. And who is that? Captain, I say. Some fiend has perpetrated violence upon our goblin colleagues, whilst we sought to... Okay. Not sure why I'm having trouble reading this. This is much easier to read than the pirate speak. The rogue pirate speak. Some fiend has perpetrated violence upon our goblin colleagues, whilst we sought but to wet our throats with fine libations. This will not stand, Captain. Our finely filched loot has been pilfered from under our noses. Blast and bother. My blood boils and bubbles at the temerity of this affront. I know not the identity of these audacious buffoons, but they shall be made to pay, and pay dearly, with me, my fine fellows. Huzzah! Wow, this is fun already. I wasn't expecting comedy for the rogue quest line, but here we are. The fastest is always going to be the Fisherman's Guild. Gotta remember that. Got second wind now. I'll put that on my hotbar in a sec. I guess move it on my hotbar. Nope, not you. You managed to grapple that firing mechanism yet, Komoy? Yeah, we grappled it. Still in one piece too. You've done well for your first assignment, lass. It don't look like much, but that crew put their lives on the line to clear this here bauble. They'll be pleased to see it snatched back from the Ruffmans. We've yet to do for the dainty demolishers, Jack. The job ain't over. You're right, Underfoot. It ain't. You break the code, you face the consequences. Oh ho, this is not at all what I expected from the inside of a convent. And who might you be, sirs? Haha, your ignorance is understandable. After all, our schemes are always perfect, our heists impeccable. Shall I reveal our infamous name and drink in your delicious terror? We are deadly, dastardly, and dictionally devilish. Quail, before the dainty demolishers. Comedy. Captain, I say. There's the lass who misappropriated our merchandise. I concur. She is the selfsame simpleton whom we trailed unnoticed to this very establishment. We're not a very good rogue yet, 'cause it's a flashback. Surprise, surprise. Now, my dear dandies, let us not be unpleasant. We should endeavor to resolve this distastefulness without resorting to insults or other less diplomatic methods, at least not yet. You there? Yes, the clean-cheeked errand boy. Be a good fellow, and fetch me your superior. One of your colleagues has committed a terrible crime against us, and we shall not be leaving until the proper restitution has been paid. Oh, an errand boy now, am I? Oh, that was funny, did he? Tell me, Captain, just what kind of place do you think this is, then? This place? I suppose it is some manner of convent. The one-eyed doorman named it the Dutiful Sisters of the Edelweiss, or some such. And you've not yet to realize your mistake. Your fate was sealed the moment you dragged your sorry quarren across the threshold. Are you threatening me, boy? I'll have my fellows cut out that impudent tongue. We've exhausted our reserves of dainty today, lads. Show these fraudulent sisters how the demolishers deal with upstarts. You still don't understand, do you? There are but three sorts of calls what the doorman will pass, or let pass. Clients, recruits. God spit. I'll kill you all. Didn't your mum teach you not to interrupt a lady when she's talking? Okay. This guy is actually more capable than I realized. Again, sorry for the first impression. But I guess that was his intent, right? He looks like he's kind of weak or whatever. That was the whole scene just now. But then he throws a knife at you. You'd have learned that the third sort of cull is a bollocks for brains, Mark. What marches himself right into the rogues, then? Rogues? But we were so careful. I'd heard tales in my pirate days. Stories about the merciless race who uphold the code. They weren't called rogues back then, though. The upright thieves, they were. The knives in the shadow. You can't be them. You're just trying to scare me. Well, the captain of the dainty demolishers is not so easily cowed. To the hells with your deceptions. Huzzah! Huzzah for my fallen comrades. Deceptions, aye. Anyone you could meet could be a rogue, Captain. Even a clean-cheeked errand boy. He's still breathing. Find some rope and string him up someplace in town. And now the job's done. Quite an introduction you had there, eh? I'll say. I wasn't really expecting it. I thought we were about to end the episode. I'm glad we're going over on time for something good, though. A real great introduction to the Rogues Guild. Welcome to Limsa Laminsa's ever-turning underbelly, where the thieves shed their skins and became rogues. And those two are just having their dinner on the table. Like nothing ever happened. I guess this kind of thing happens every day for them. I'm not much for discussing the old days, but since it's come up, I might as well clear up the confusion. It was back when piracy was at its peak. The coves what protected the code were Dimber Dambers, the best lads and lasses to be had from among the pirate crews. They bit back the goods what was wrongly bitten, and came for the guilty under cover of the Darkmans. Upright Thief became the title for these coves what dealt in sanctioned stealing and milling. But with only those as had cut all ties with the buccaneer's life. What was accepted into the ranks, conflicting loyalties and all that. They formed their own guild, and even their own way of speaking. Okay, so you're giving me the backstory on why they talk in a completely different way from everyone else. That's just super hard for me to catch on with. Got it. And what was once pirates was pirates no more. Later on, when Merleweb took up the Admiral's chair, the Upright Thieves agreed to abide by our laws. We became the Rogues Guild to mark the change, and altered our recruiting policy to accept venturers like yourself. But although the title is different, the job remains the same. Uphold the code, and preserve the underground society which spawned us. Just as you've done with this assignment. Keep up the good work, Komori, and you'll go far in the shadows. Yeah, just give us this. And I guess after that display, maybe Komori, here in this flashback in the past, realizes she actually has to do some training to stand toe-to-toe with everyone else in the Rogues Guild here. So we're going to do that off screen. She's going to practice flipping her knife around and doing whatever these guys are doing. And in the next episode we'll be high enough level to take on the rest of the quests. That would be a good time to take a break.